What's up, Em?
So, winning three straight is better to close the season is better than losing three straight to close the season. Would you agree?
Yeah, especially against the Astros. I think
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It was a pretty complete game by your guys that overcame some adversity, and I would assume you're happy with the way this one ended.
For sure, and I was glad to get a lot of those pitchers in the game. Everybody basically, and King, I think, was the only guy we didn't get in the last 2 days, but he had pitched, pretty recently. So it was good to see everybody throw. Good to see everybody, competing out there, and try to get everybody in the lineup. I was kind of looking at some averages and some numbers to try to get them in there. But yeah, overall, it's a positive way to end a really tough year. I don't want to, put too much icing on a sour cake because it's obviously not where we wanted to be at the end of the year. But it was good that we finished strong. Guys were playing hard all the way to the last inning. That's kind of what we wanted to make sure we do, regardless of what the results are from a record standpoint. So overall, proud of our guys for fighting through the end. But we got a lot of work to do, obviously, going into next year.
That moment from Chu, I mean, other than him, getting injured a little bit on the bag, it had to be really cool for you to watch and to see his emotion after the game today.
For sure.
Pretty special.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's there's a lot of things, obviously, the last couple of days, and obviously that meant a lot to him just to kind of get back out there. And I wasn't going to tell you guys, but he has nowhere near being able to swing a bat. I mean, so he, this is who he is, though. He wants to, he felt need to get kind of back out there, and we all kind of felt the same way. I felt the same way. It was just a meaningful moment for him after being here for 7 years, and he swore that his goal was to bring a World Series championship, and I told him after, like, sorry, I couldn't provide that for you while you're here, but the one thing I did tell him was, all the things that he taught, so many of our younger players and so many players that have been here since he's been here, his legacy will be here when we do win a World Series, like inside of these guys and the way they play. Because even up to the last day when he knows he can't swing, I was like, man, you're leading off. You're our leadoff hitter. And he was like, well, just pinch hit. Maybe I said, no, you're our leadoff hitter. Like, you're leading off. He practiced it. He went in there and he was practicing with bees, on the machine, like making sure he got it down. He's just relentlessly trying to figure out a way. Okay, I got to get this down. Talked about the counts, and I'm not going to do it first pitch because then they're going to know I can't swing. I'm going to wait till it's strike one. So it's just like that mentality, and everybody kind of saw that, and it's like, this guy's getting one about. He could have just said, okay, I'm just going to put a bunt down and off I go. But he wanted to make sure he got a hit, and he was mad that he got hurt a little bit because he was going to steal on the first pitch. That's, what I mean? It's like, that's just how he works, and it was a cool moment. I was hoping he didn't get hurt because I did want to see him steal, but no, that was a really cool moment.
Thanks, Woody. Appreciate you always.
No, thank you.
Questions, Evan?
Well, it's probably been about 72 hours since we last asked you about Rougned Odor, but here it is. 2 home runs on the last day of the season, 7 home runs in September. What's his future with the Texas Rangers?
I think that's up to him. You know what I mean? I think the ball's kind of in his court. I don't know what's going to happen this offseason, but if he comes into camp as on our team, then he's going to have every opportunity to win a job, but he's going to have to earn it. I think I said that last year. I think this year coming into next year is going to be a little bit different than this year. I think he had a pretty good lead coming in. I think next year it's going to be pretty neutral. Like, he's got to earn it. I liked what I saw at the end. I liked his mentality at the end. Just the way he was thinking about the game and preparing for the game. Everything was a little bit higher acuity level. And if that's the case, then I think he could be a guy that gets set back and can really impact our ball club. If not, and he struggles, then it's just going to be, I don't know at that point.
I was thinking about this after I was watching you and Shu kind of hug it out in the dugout. That maybe your relationship with him kind of defines how you evolved as a manager from day one. Does it in some ways, and how would you describe that?
The one thing I definitely, when you're a manager, and even if as a coach, I first got into coaching, I valued the relationship with people. Like, what I mean? And I was a player, so I understood the value of that. And, as a manager, I don't, there is a line, clearly. when it comes to that player manager relationship. But the one thing about, I'm always going to be a person and a human being first. So it's like there's obviously me and Chu and I have a lot of common bonds, in the way we look at the world and the way we treat people. And so that's always been kind of, we've always shared those kind of emotional, bonds in that way. So, we've had our ups and downs, throughout the first couple of years, but I think at the end of the day, there's a deep respect for one another and, the way we kind of go about our business. And I respect him like no other as far as, just the way he, prepares every day. And, he walks in and he doesn't take a day for granted, and I love that. That's a message that I send to our younger players. But when you have a guy of Choo's stature that's done what he's done in the game, especially for our organization, preaching that. Like every day I walk in, I see my name on the back of my jersey. I'm grateful. Not a lot of big league guys with his experience level and the money he's made and his stature in the game have that feeling. They think they're special and they think they're something bigger than the game, and he doesn't. And I think that's where I've always tried to reinforce that with our younger players and say, here's a great example for how to be a major leaguer. This is a champion heart. That if everybody had that mentality, you'd have a pretty damn good ball club. And that's what we're trying to build here. So that's why, obviously him, I got a special place in my heart for him.
Thank you, sir.
Other questions? Chris?
So one of those younger guys that he had an impact on, the Odie Sparrows, did something pretty special in the seventh inning when he won for a base hit, stole second, stole third, and scored with ease, it looked like. How much was that just catching Houston off guard, or is that something we should expect to see more often?
I would expect to see it more often, especially, he's been working hard lately on his bunts. His first 3 or 4 bunts that he tried to get down were right back to the pitcher, so he's worked really hard at making sure it gets down the line. But yeah, it just shows you this kid can impact a game in so many different ways. We've seen what he does on the defensive side. I've seen how hard he worked at this base running as far as stealing bases and using information and, understanding what this guy's, his sequencing and his timing of his delivery and when he's going to throw breaking balls. But then you see the bat, there's power in there. He uses the strike zone. He's just kind of scratching the surface on what he is as a hitter. He's got some things to fix, obviously, to clean up with fastballs sometimes in the zone, but he can impact the game in so many different ways. And right there, just a 15-foot bunt, and he's at home 2 pitches later. It's a pretty cool thing to see.
Definitely appreciate it.
Jeff?
Not to beat up on Ruby here, but listen to what he said to us, and hearing what you said, it's been the same thing the last 3 or 4 years. So why would this year be different, you think? Or next year?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I wasn't here obviously before, so I have watched it over the last couple of years. So that's why I'm saying I think next year is different for him. He's got to prove above and beyond like that he is our guy, and that doesn't mean he can't. It just means he has to do. He's got to be more consistent, and it's I think if the consistency isn't there, he obviously we see the talent. We see like when he gets a pitch, he can drive a ball to the ballpark better than anybody, but he's got to be more consistent. Even when he's been really good, I still think there's a much higher level to the consistency, and if it's not, then I don't think obviously I give him as much leeway as I did in the beginning of this year or even last year. So I just it's on him really. If he can figure out a way to be that guy, then he'll earn it.
Thank you.
Other questions? Anything else? All good? Okay, thank you guys.